This video is on Darren O'Conner. This is one of the ones I really hope that he watches to the end. And I just started it. I know it's going to be that good. He is a cowardly lion. I say this because he could do a lot of good, but he's already started to fall into the same mentality as the public pretenders. Alright, well, I'm going to pick only cases I know I can win. Only the easy stuff. Because I can get lots of money for very little work. Nobody cares about homeless rights, and there's no homeless rights on the books. So we should try to turn it into a minority thing. Well, people don't care about minorities unless they're in houses, so he's got to seek out those people. Minorities in houses who were fucked with by the police. Well, now it has become, instead of helping the homeless, just a vendetta against the police. Well, that don't work out for anybody. He's a talker, and that, right there, is the part that pisses me off the most. The politician in him. It's just naturally born and ingrained. And you know what? Darren's not a bad person. He's not. He folded, like everyone else. They realize how tough of a battle it's going to be, and they quit. We need to recruit more people. Not give up and give up and give up because it's not happening to you. Because Darren O'Conner, you could easily become homeless. And you think you're intimidated by the police now. Just you wait, son. You don't know nothing yet. There's a big difference between hearing about it and actually being there for it. Like when you hear about somebody who's missing a bunch of fingers and part of their nose and half one of their ears missing, and they're telling you about frostbite, and you just think to yourself, well, that would suck. You know? But then when you're out there in the cold and you're like, holy fuck. Seriously, this is fucking terrible. Everything hurts. And that dude was in this for 2 days longer than I've been in it, with less clothing. He's lucky to be alive. I'm lucky to be alive. Those are the kind of thoughts that go through your head. The people who you were like, you just kind of blew it off, and now you're in that situation and you're thinking to yourself, you know, I really should have thought about that situation a little more thoroughly. This fucking sucks. Darren O'Conner is capable of a lot. He's got the same education I do, just most of his information is secondhand where I lived it firsthand. Darren O'Conner was not aware of the mentality that I would have to deal with because of what I was accused of. He had no fucking clue. And you know, if I'd have been able to get his help a whole year earlier, which I didn't really ask him for the help. I didn't. I asked him for help just prior to exposing James Payton and Ted Bollinger. See, I'd been talking to Darren about trying to take Boulder County to court and take the state of Colorado court for the child molestation I endured as a child, the abuse and the druggings. But he informed me that the statute of limitations was up. I got screenshots of that too. That was also before, I mean, this is all the stuff I was doing before Natalie died. Trying to get a lawyer. Trying to get an advocate. Trying to get somebody to listen, to help do something about it. Do something about the abuse and the police. And because nobody did anything about it when I spoke up, they got to continue doing it and continue doing it. And then they did it to me. I spoke up when they did this to other people. But when they did it to me, who spoke up? This was something that was very public, and I should have been allowed to defend myself and have never been allowed. I need to find a way to show all of the screenshots, the full story, without getting Facebook banned and having to worry about my Facebook being permanently destroyed. I saved a lot of evidence, and even with all of the evidence that's been lost or stolen, I still have enough evidence for probably at least 100 convictions. 100 of them. Can you imagine that? 100 predators off the street all at once, just by looking at my Facebook. You look at my Facebook, you find out who the witnesses are, you talk to those witnesses, they'll tell you what's up. They tried to make a report and the cops wouldn't listen. Or they tried to make a report against the police, and the police took them to a hospital where they were drugged. Like what happened to Michelle Rodriguez and that other lady who won $3.6 million thanks to David Harrison, who Darren O'Conner was working with. Boulder Rights Watch. Darren O'Conner's with that, right? So, for years and years and years, Darren O'Conner has been using just pretty much his voice and his camera. Which is nice. But the camera is more useful than his words at this point, because he's been going for years and nothing's changed. Nothing. Things have gotten worse, actually. So in Boulder Rights Watch, they got 10,000 different ideas for new fucking tents. That still doesn't solve the problem of having nowhere to put it. You can't sleep here, you need to move along. Or you're allowed 14 days at a campsite, and you get up there, and your very first day, you're out there picking up all the garbage from the family of 6 that was there before you. And you're picking up this garbage, and the ranger comes by and tells you gotta leave. Your 14 days is up. You know it's bullshit, but also if you argue, you're going to get punished. And you're broke and homeless, so they can do whatever they want to you. It's best just to move along. With Darren O'Conner, he can speak up. He knows that my stories are true, and the things I've been trying to do, I've been trying to do. Same thing with Alex Furman. He can tell you about my brick and about my castle idea. Most of my friends can tell you about my castle idea. Most of my enemies can tell you about my castle idea. Well, that's not true now. Most of my enemies I never even met. There are people who hate me that I don't even know exist. That's what happens when you get painted the way I was on the media, and you never, ever are allowed to defend yourself. How could they? After the way that they painted me on the fucking internet and in the media? How could the media possibly do the right thing after doing that? After fucking up so badly? How could the police allow that? How could the police possibly allow me to make a statement after what they did to me? After the way that I had been painted on the news. Oh yeah, this would not be national news. This would be international news. If I was able to get a case. If I was able to get one person to look at that fucking evidence. Or one of these witnesses to come forward and say what it is that they know. Like Shannon Alvarado or Miss Peaches. Just one of these people to come forward. We got Darren O'Conner and his Boulder Rights Watch, and a lot of homeless people are really not happy with him because, just like me, they feel that he stabbed them in the back. He talks about homeless rights a lot, but in reality, it's not homeless rights that he is fighting for. In the end, it's the people in houses who are minorities that he's focused on, because there's money in that. There's no money in defending a homeless person, unless you're a public pretender. And in that case, you don't even have to pretend to defend a homeless person. Sorry about that, I had to belch. In that case, you get paid whether you win or lose, so why try? Shit, I got 400 people on my docket this month. Well, it's not like I'm going to defend any of them. You might as well give me 800. Darren O'Conner talks about how they've already got an overwhelming caseload. My public pretenders spoke with me about that as well, but I'd been speaking out about that before they ever told me, because why? Because I keep up on what the fuck is going on. We don't need tents, we need a place to put them. So I tell Darren, hey, the homeless people could stop wasting their time asking a bunch of government goons who are only trying to make money off of exploiting the fuck out of you, instead of asking them for a place. Save up your money. And I got tired of seeing on Boulder Rights Watch every fucking goddamn day all these people saying, oh, we should this and we should that. Before Natalie died, I was trying to move either out of Ken and Leah's back up to Nebraska long enough to save money, or move out of Nebraska down to Ken and Leah's long enough to save money. I had a piece of property picked out. I'd sent Miss Natalie a message in our text messages about this piece of property and what I wanted to do with it. It's in there, those of you who've taken a look. But, yeah. If everything had gone as Ken and Leah had promised, I would have had the money to get myself some property by May or June of 2018. So not soon after Miss Natalie was killed. And I had this plan set up and in place before Ken and Leah stole my money. Brandon Ratner, I spoke with him a little bit about it, because he's the one who helped me move from Chapel, Nebraska to Ken and Leah's with the last load of my things. I kept that place in Nebraska even though I didn't live there, because I was trying to improve my credit. Instead of improving my credit, because I was able to run out the full lease, I did run out the full lease. Problem is, I get back to Chapel, Nebraska, and I owe like $145 to the housing authority. I'm sorry, I don't have any money. It's all going to the courts. Darren O'Conner could speak out. He could speak up. Miss Peaches could speak up. Tabitha could speak up. Graham could speak up. Alyssa Rainwater could speak up. Mandy Hughes could speak up. Shannon Alvarado could speak up. Miss Eulalia Johnson could speak up. Dan Fabric could speak up. Candace Bondurant could speak up. Lanny Engeline could speak up. Amanda Engeline could speak up. Miss Jerry could speak up. Are they gonna? Fuck no. Todd Rust of Chapel, Nebraska could speak up. Jamie Lee Curtis could speak up. Angela K. Wade could speak up. That's my mother. Brian David Schwartz could speak up. That's my father. Are they gonna? Fuck no. Is it because I treated them like shit? No, they got treated like shit because they weren't gonna. They said they would, but didn't. Like Katie Cahill. See, that's the thing. Hundreds of people made empty promises they didn't ever intend to keep. And since so many people did that for the Bollingers, who were in cahoots with the Bollingers, it's difficult for me not to be paranoid. It is. Kara Johnson Miles was pretending to be my friend and pretending she wanted to be helpful. Same thing with Shelly and Danica. But in the end, they had ulterior motives. They weren't interested in keeping their word, or they would have kept their word. But they didn't. They kept on antagonizing me. They mean specific? No. They had other people do it for them. While I'm being tortured and they're ignoring it. I mean, I asked people to leave them alone all the way back in fucking January. At no point in time did these people ever ask these predators to stop. At no point in time did any of the Bollingers or any of Natalie's extended family, stepmothers or otherwise, at no point in time did even a single one of these people ask these goddamn wingnuts to leave me alone. Which is why they get my wrath and will continue to get it. Rochelle Shelley Campbell, you're a shitty excuse for a human being. You believe in Jesus, right? Where do people like you go when you die? According to your book. I've read the book. I'm still trying to find the parts you claim. I think you grossly interpret some really fucked up shit to fit your own bias. With Darren O'Conner, all of these great and wonderful ideas, they don't make any difference. Not when you're asking your fucking predators to help. I asked my dad to help. He's one of my predators. I asked my mom for help. She's one of my predators. I asked my older brother for help. He's one of my predators. I tried being friendly with Tim Beeson. I did. Even though he was threatening me, I was telling him, fucking do it. Do it. If you're gonna fucking kill me, then fucking kill me. Don't talk about it. I'm waiting here for you to show up on your Harley Davidson. Where's your Harley Davidson, bud? Where is it? Because the day that he fucking called me to harass me like that, that was the day I was supposed to be on my way to Ken and Leah's. Not far from where he lived either. Now, I didn't realize that the address that I had for him was wrong. He gave me an address and I thought it was in Boulder, Colorado. I knocked on that door and I heard somebody say, "He's here, it's that dude." I'm like, huh? Of course, it was in Boulder, so there's no way that it could have been Tim Beeson. 299 Iris. Broomfield, Colorado, not Boulder. So, I found a piece of property cheap enough and big enough with enough raw materials on it. I probably could have made, because it's 10 acres of land. 10 acres of land that's mostly shale. God, you can make the most beautiful garden there. But I had to decide whether I wanted to do that or whether I wanted to try to buy Megan Christie's house in Chapel, Nebraska. Do you guys know why it is that I originally started looking at that house? Nicole Knudsen. That's Todd Rust's stepdaughter. She has a sister named Brittany who went missing, and she's not the only one, by the way. But there were several people that I knew that needed a safe place, a safe house. They were being dependent on predatory men. Well, I can go back with this predatory guy who's got a roof over his head, or I'm stuck out here on the streets. So I'm going to go back to this dude who beats the fuck out of me, because at least I got a roof over my head. At least my son's got a roof over his head. You know? So I wanted to buy Megan Christie's house, and I wanted to use it as well, the same thing that the castle's for. It's a safe house, literally. I mean, that's the purpose of it. Them safe houses that they used to have back in the 1980s, all that money has been siphoned out and it goes to the police departments now and the jails. There's no safe place for a woman to go, or a man for that matter. So I thought I was gonna buy Megan Christie's house for $7,000. That's what she wanted for it. $7,000 in Chapel, Nebraska. And my mom's old house was up for sale for the taxes that were owed. About $1,400 at the time. But my mom was telling me that Mikey Witcher, that's Andrew Witcher, the child molester's older brother, yeah, she was telling me that Mikey Witcher is going to buy it. I was like, alright, well, I won't buy it then. I'll let Mikey Witcher buy it. But with my back payments from disability, the 4 payments of $2,200 each, I could have used those to get that property. I could have saved up enough, either living just at Ken and Leah's or just in Chapel, Nebraska. I could have saved enough to get either one of those properties within 5 months. But because Ken and Leah stole all my money, and Natalie died, and the police did all the fucked up things that they did, and Jeff Ritter never came forward, and Darren O'Conner never came forward, you know, I gotta expose those guys publicly now. Publicly. I was slandered publicly. I was harmed publicly. I was harmed by the public. And them coming forward and telling the truth could have prevented all of that. But I got to get a lawyer in order to force them to do that. Do I believe that Jeff Ritter would go on the stand and tell the truth? No. He's got too much to lose from telling the truth. This is too public. Too much exposure. And because of what I've been accused of, he doesn't want to risk. Now this is just my assumption on this part. He doesn't want to risk the tarnishment of his reputation. Other people's opinions of him. Now the reason I say this is because nearly everybody has let me know that it's not that I'm a bad person, it's that they're afraid of public opinion. Well, duh, I already knew that. I've been typing about that since before Natalie died. Since before I went to Virginia. So, while these guys spend hundreds, maybe even thousands of hours in city council meetings begging their oppressors to allow them to exist without being victimized on a piece of property designed so that they can be there without being victimized. You know, for the amount of bus fare just to get those people there, you could probably buy a piece of land in Colorado. There's a few homeless people that I know who own property in Colorado. Maybe you could talk them out of their plot of land. If the only thing on there is dirt, I can build with it. If the only thing there is rocks, I can build with it. If there's grass on it, that's even more better. Yes, I can build with cactus. I can build with bricks. I could build with rushes or reeds. I can weave. So long grasses, I could make you a pretty nice little hut out of. I could make you baskets. I could make it out of mud. I could make you baskets that are woven that'll hold water. I can make you clay baskets. I can find you clay. I can adjust the quality of the clay. I know how to do these things. I learned how to do these things so that I could have a safe place for me. and my loved ones. Most of my loved ones didn't stab me in the back because they're shitty people. They stabbed me in the back because they were afraid. Candace Bondurant, though, she is still by far the worst friend I've ever had. See, Candace Bondurant didn't want to show the whole truth. She wanted to distance herself as much as possible. If she'd have waited just a couple of more days to be a piece of shit, she'd have realized that they caught the guy who killed Natalie, and she didn't have to be afraid like that. But in truth, she really does. She defended me, and people came after her. When she turned her back on me, those people stopped going after her and her family. So in her mind, she did the right thing. In my mind, if she'd have fucking stuck with it, been honest, and told the truth, then these officers wouldn't be able to go on again to do these to other people. Similar to when you have a man who beats on you and you let him go. You don't call the police. He goes on to beat somebody else. Or when your dad rapes you and you don't tell anybody and he rapes your little sister. Or when Officer Day destroys people's property because she wants to be mean to homeless people. Monkey, aka Michael Pennington. That's the guy in specific, but he's not the only one.